What's going on, guys? Listen, welcome back to the Talk Different podcast where we talk different, we live different, and we lead different lives. Listen, I've got a wonderful sister, a soror. Listen, this woman is so many things. She's a wife, she's a mother, she's a businesswoman. She's got so many different talents. She's doing so many different things. If you follow her, you know she stays on the go. She's always got something going. She's always somewhere around the world. But listen, I want to introduce my sister, none other than Tenesha. Will y'all give her a round of applause and welcome her to the podcast today? Listen, so we know you to be a really active member in our church.
Yes.
At St. Stephen. But today, one of our goals that we have for this episode and that we've been having this whole entire season is to get to know people in a deeper way. Because when you have a church the size of our church,
Right.
and a lot of times, in church culture, you only see people on Sunday.
Yes.
Right? But you don't necessarily know what they do outside of Sunday, right? There is life between Sundays, right? And so one of the things I wanted to do is I wanted to get to know you. I wanted to know what inspires you. Why do you do what you do? And so the first question I want to ask you, just real basic, is, just tell us a little bit about who you are and what do you want the people who are watching and listen, what do you want them to know about you?
Well, I always say that I'm a proud Louisvillian, born and raised in Louisville, Kentucky. Grew up in Park Hill in the West End, and I tell people that all the time because it's important. Because so many people that live in that environment or what have you, society deems it as, you're poor, you don't have anything. So I'm always very authentic and transparent about where I come from, because they say you can take the person out of the hood, but you can't take the hood out of the person, all of that. So I'm always very transparent because people judge a book by its cover, but when they get to know you and know who you are, it makes things a little bit different. So born and raised here, I was one of the most decorative athletes to come out of Louisville, Kentucky, a 10-time state champion in track and field. So I kind of grew up in the spotlight. I'm a mother of two boys, a wife, and I had to grow up without my parents. And that's one thing that I don't talk about a lot. And people see you and think you have it great, but growing up without my parents, I lost them when I was young. So I had no other choice but to grind and to get it because I had nothing to fall back on. And that's one thing that people don't understand. They see you, but they don't realize the hurt that's behind you. So that's one thing I really want people to know, is that I've always had to work hard all my life. Didn't have anything to fall back on, not having my parents. I lost them in my 20s, and then just had to figure it out at a young age.
So, it's amazing because one of the things that there's a theme that I've picked up so far out of all the guests that we interviewed. And it's crazy because it's the people who are like most involved, most engaged, are the people who have like the best testimony.
Yes.
And you never know because you see these people and you see excellence, you see greatness, you see all these different things, but then and then when you get to meet them, you talk to them and you hear their story, you're like, wow, this is, and that just goes to show like you never know where somebody has come from, what they've dealt with, what they're carrying, what has pushed them to this point.
Yep.
And so, I think that's why it's so important to celebrate people and to get to know people and just take a moment to stop, to pause, to create community with people that we see every week, because you never know, your testimony might bless me because you don't know necessarily what I'm going through.
Right.
Or, and so there's parts of that I loved, even the fact that you said, you're from the West End.
Yes.
And that's something that I do. Like anytime, somebody asks me to come speak or they want to know, I'm going to put that in there. Like, hey, I was born in the West End of Louisville. And because it's something that I've come to love and appreciate. And just even, I remember like when I went off to college, one of the things I would do is I would always come back to Louisville and specifically the West End.
Yes.
And I would always want to drive down Market or drive down Broadway because I just knew like there was something about it that was just home for me.
Right.
All the memories of walking up and down, especially doing like Derby or any events, you know,
Right.
things like that. So it's just good to be with somebody who's you know, very unashamed.
Oh, of course
right?
not.
And there's nothing to be ashamed about.
Right.
But in the context of how people like to box us in, people like to put labels
Yes.
on us, right? To understand that we're so much more than what meets the eye.
Yes.
So I appreciate your testimony, but I want to get into something that I don't know, a lot of people might not know about, and we want to definitely get out the word about today, but it's about your business.
Yes.
One of your many things that you do, but
Yes.
it's about Marshall Creations, or Tenesha Marshall Creations. And we've got this balloon here today.
My little doohickey.
Yeah. So can you tell us about what is it you do? Like, how did you even start this? Where did it come from?
Well, I have been decorating for over a decade and maybe 2 decades. I was always a planner. I planned my own wedding, always into parties, little celebrations. So my sorority sister told me, they asked me to decorate for an event. And I said, sure, you know, they've never seen me do anything. They just assumed, okay, she might be a little creative. So I decorated for a 90th event and kind of transformed the Louisville Library, the basement. So one thing led to another. She asked me to do her wedding. Her name is Jennifer Beckham. And I said, sure. And it was my first huge event. Well, from there, other Zetas and then other Zeta events. So I was booked. I had all these events lined up. And then COVID hit.
Woo!
And it shut it all down as soon as it started. And in the midst of that, I was in school at Penn Foster to be a certified wedding planner because I said I'm going to do a little bit more because I've been doing it. So when COVID hit, I said, okay, what's up? What's going on? COVID gave people a chance to think, and I had to figure out how I was going to do this. So I got into watching TikToks, doing all that stuff, and everybody were doing like outdoor celebrations with balloons, yard signs, all kinds of stuff. So my son, he was turning 13 in May, so COVID March, May. So I did a parade for his 13th birthday party. It was about 35 cars, 32 to 35 cars. I had fire trucks. So I put balloons outside the house and made it festive and special for him. We had on our T-shirts, mom of a teenager, brother, dad. So from there, one of my friends said, hey, my son's turning 6 in July. Can you do some balloons for him? Because mind you, we couldn't do anything indoors.
Yeah.
So did his parade. Her sister was at the parade and said, hey, my kids' birthdays are coming up in August. Can you do something for them? One thing led to another. And before you know it, I was getting inquiries just left and right. And I was word of mouth. I wasn't on social media because I never gave the world privy to my life. I'm very private.
Yeah.
So it was more so word of mouth. And that's really how that piece started, the balloons. So I started to perfect my craft, watching videos, taking online classes. And it was just people seeing me do something for somebody else. And then they ask, and then the rest is history.
Wow.
It just transformed into this. And our church member, Crystal Goodner, she saw what I was doing around that time, and she invited me on the scene on a Wednesday, and that's when I was able to open up a little bit more about who I was. I mean, people didn't know I was a track star, didn't know that I was a pageant queen, didn't know anything. You don't know who's sitting next to you.
Never know.
So she got me out of my comfort zone, and I was able to open up a little bit more about who I was. But that's how it got started. COVID. It shut me down.
Yeah.
And then send me into a whole nother direction to where I am today.
So I've seen your work. I mean, you've done a lot of great work. I mean, you've even done some work for companies.
Yes.
Right? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, I've done work for Amazon. I'm a vendor for JCPS. I do a lot for JCPS. I did a lot of things for Craig Greenberg before he became mayor. I did things in the community connections, you name it. I've done so many different things, but my business is a ministry. You know, it's intentional. It's not about making money,
Yeah.
none of that. It's about making people happy. So people may see a lot of things, but sometimes it's no charge. You know, it's a donation, it's a collaboration, anything for kids.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it goes beyond that, and it's intentional because I'm doing it to make people happy and doing it because it's from the heart. It really is.
Yeah. So obviously you have to be creative doing
Yes.
something like this.
Yes.
What is your creative process like? Like how do you how do you come up with this? How do you
Right.
put it into practice? Can you walk us through a little bit like of what that's like? You know?
Well, I wanted to be an engineer before I became an educator.
Okay.
So engineering is building, it's putting things together. You know, I went to engineering camps. I was real good in math and science. So we were always building things. And if you've been to an engineering camp, you know, you build them popsicle things together and develop something where when you drop it off a building, if your egg doesn't break, you have to think about what processes you used, and then building bridges with the toothpicks. You know, it's all about the foundation. So I start with the foundation of my creations and how I'm gonna build it, and then the artistic part comes in from me being an artist. I was really good in art when I was younger, so the artistry, the engineering, all of it put together, and then God's grace had given me a creative mind. Like I've always been creative and thinking outside the box. I didn't know until somebody pointed it out that I always had to match everything. I matched my clothes, my shoes. When I was younger, my glasses, they would match my outfits, to my glasses string, you know, everything. So all of that creativity and artistry started when I was a kid, but now it's coming out of me. I'm becoming more confident of showing the world who I am and sharing my talents with the world. And a lot of times it's driven by the customer. They'll say, okay, I want something red, white, and blue. Okay, well, would you like a small balloon with a big balloon? And a lot of times they just give me the color and let me run with it. And so I just come up with stuff. The worst thing you can do is give me time to think. So I had time to think during COVID. And when I take my little vacations and have my days of worship and rest on Sundays, that's when I can think. Like I literally just start coming up with stuff. I'll pick up a balloon, say, hey, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And next thing you know, I got 10 new designs in a month. And it's all just the artistry and the creativity in my mind. I struggle with copying off of somebody because the hardest thing an artist can do is sit there and try to mimic what somebody else does. You got to sit down and just do this thing and then just start playing with it and become your own.
So speaking of being an artist, being creative, I see you brought some books.
Yes. Yes.
And can you show? Let's put some of these books up. Just why you want to play? But I didn't know you wrote a book.
Yes.
Several books.
Yes. Yes.
Like so.
Yes.
So can you tell us?
Yes.
Something about these books and then like where we can find these books or
Yes.
things like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
So my first book, titled The Balloon Artist, is about my life. It's a book and a workbook for elementary kids. And it's about a little girl that lived in the projects that came across a bag of balloons. She was a track star and she needed some new track shoes. Money was tight. Mama was working, 5 kids in the house. You living in the projects. Mom doing the best she can. So she pushed her to figure out ways to earn money so she can get the things that she needed. She wanted a bike. So she came across a bag of balloons, start blowing them things up, into the talent show down at the Park Hill Community Center, won first place, and started to pop the balloons, and people asked to buy them. So she started earning money from them buying the balloons, and she was able to get a bike, new pair of track shoes, and it just started with a little bitty bag of balloons. And then one thing led to another. She started booking all kinds of jobs. Well, now she's grown up.
Wow.
She was recruited by her track coach to run AAU track and field, and with track and field comes with the price. So she had to get money to pay for the trips, to get the things that she needed again, because again, money's tight. You know, mom's on food stamps, and just didn't have the money that we needed to get the things that we needed. So the extension of the book dives a little bit deeper into life, how at Park Hill, how things really were for me. It was a struggle. I wasn't the best kid at sometimes. I was a fighter. Didn't back down to a fight. You know, when you're a product of your environment, you gonna do what they tell you to do. So in my book, I talk about how my brothers, you know, pushed me to fight, get involved in things that wasn't necessarily good. But I turned it around and still turned it into a purpose. So the extension of that is my book titled Start Where You Are. And this is a teens journal, a business planning journal, as well as that kind of have you to start where you are. If you're thinking about starting a business, but you don't know where to start, this is where you start. It gives you journal prompts and talks to you about reflecting on what a business name will be to be like, and it kind of piques your interest. It digs deep into your mind to figure out what are your next steps. So although it's for teenagers, it's for that young adult too, because these days and time you have to have multiple streams of income or else you're not gonna make it. Life is hard. Times are hard. So the book, they're local at Carmichael's, as well as on Amazon, and it's just a work in progress. You have to develop generational wealth. You have to leave something for your kids, for your family. I'm getting older. I'll be 50 this year.
What?
Yes, I'll be 50 in October.
Boy,
and
it's good to be black sometimes.
I don't know how much longer I'm going to be able to run around lifting these boxes, setting up parties, all kinds of things, but I can go out and tell my story. Minister to young people, share my books. So I wrote the first book in 23, and then my book and journal just came out last month in June. And I just want to continue to pour into those young kids. I mentioned Park Hill in both of my books, and those kids were the first group to hear the book. When they heard Park Hill, they came unglued. They could not believe it. And they said, we never had books in Park Hill. So this is for that dreamer to say, you don't have to be a product of your environment. Something good can come out of what society deems as bad.
Can anything good come out of Nazareth?
Yes.
Can anything good come out of Park Hill? Yes. Can anything good come out of the West End?
Yes.
And so I'm glad you mentioned young adults.
Yes.
Because, and you being here today, and I think for me, what stands out when you talk about your business, when you talk about the books, everything that you're doing, this is about legacy.
Yes.
And you here today, even just you giving us your wisdom, your testimony, you are making us a part of your legacy.
Yes.
And what I would like for you to do is, I'm going to ask you to talk to the young adults who are going to watch this and listen to this. We have been trying to reach out more to the 20-somethings, the 30-somethings, people like my age. Like I'll be 35 this year.
Yes.
Right? And I think a lot of us are in the process of trying to become.
Yes.
Right? We just graduated, or, we're trying to start a family, or we're trying to start our careers. And sometimes it can seem like it's not what you imagine it was. Like, you start off, because they tell you, go to school.
Right.
Right. And you think, I'm going to go to school. I'm going to get this job. I'm going to make this money. But it doesn't necessarily, life doesn't go like this. Correct. Or it doesn't go like this. Life is all over the place. So can you just encourage them, and just about, hey, like, it's gonna be okay.
Yes.
Like, you got this. Just encourage us for a moment.
One thing I will say, and it's so hard not to cry, when you done been through so much in your life, and people just assume you were born with a silver spoon in your mouth or what have you, don't realize that there were times where you didn't have the best clothes. I mean, I talk in my book about having getting clothes from the Goodwill. We were poor, but we were not dirty, and that's one thing I make clear. But for young people, it's a different day and age. I didn't have social media in my 30s. We young people compare themselves so much to what society is, and they don't understand. They get themselves sucked into it. You can't always believe what you see online.
That's right.
I posted a video about a month ago that I did in April. I was in Pensacola. I forgot I had did the video. And it was in Pensacola, and I, broadcasted it, and it was 2 months ago, and but people were saying, "Oh, you might see my cousin down there," and all this and that. I wasn't even in Pensacola, but it was old, and people with AI and different things, people don't understand that it's not real. They compare themselves to so many people. People online are not perfect. The happiest couples, you don't see anything about them on social media. I'm very private with my family. You won't see anything about my kids, none of that. But it's hard to explain to them it's not real. And you have to figure yourself out on your own and not compare yourself to somebody else. Like, when I was an athlete, I didn't worry about anybody else. I took care of business. And the one time I worried about my component, I tripped and fell over the hurdles because I was too worried about what was going on both sides. And in that moment, I realized, okay, you have to focus on your lane, yourself, and tap into your own gifts. Tap into your life and what God has blessed you with. Your blessing may not be my blessing. And what God gave me, he may not have given somebody else. And that's one thing we don't understand. We're so busy looking at these people, these celebrities on TikTok, on Facebook. And a lot of that stuff is it's AI. It is people use these filters. Like, I don't even know how to use them. So when you see the person in real life, you're like, oh, you look a little bit different than online. But it's so much pressure.
Yeah.
And you just have to trust God and believe in what he has for you and what he's given to you, and not worry about what anybody else has. It's easier said than done. But you have to. You might not have the best car. I didn't get a car until I was 21. Didn't have a license, didn't have anything. I work hard because if I tap out and don't have anybody to fall back on, my parents are gone. I've lost siblings. I've lost my grandparents, lost a lot of people. So you have to figure it out. And to the young person that wants to give up, you cannot give up. You have to keep trusting God. I've been a tither since 1997. I don't want for nothing. And my business, I give 10% to my church, what I earn on top of my tithes and offering. So that's how this thing continues to go and keeps growing and growing and growing. Because 2 Thessalonians 3:10 says,
Come on
what if you don't work, you don't eat. So, and we don't realize that. You're not going to get to where you're trying to get if you don't work and put forth the effort. Get up off that couch. Go work at a convenience store or something, whatever you have to do to make ends meet. You're not going to be an influencer. I've been doing content for 5 years and I'm consistent. I'm not a millionaire. If that's the case, I wouldn't be here. You have to be consistent. And these people that are doing these things on social media, it takes time. I mean, you have to build. So go start that job. I mean, the post office is hiring. All kind of places are hiring. Go get a job and get your own and do it for yourself.
Yeah.
You might find other gifts, in the job at the post office. But if you don't think outside the box and go do it, then you're never gonna know.
Yeah.
You are never gonna know.
Yeah. So I think what I'm getting out of that is, have a balance of what you are aspiring to do, what is God calling you to do,
Yes.
and what you must do right now. Because I think in terms of planning our life out, right? Because we all have a plan. Some of us have plans,
Yes.
right? But
yes.
I think for me, like I've always been a planner. So like trying to figure out, okay, where I want to be in 3 years, where do I want to be in 5 years, but understanding, giving room, and this is what I've learned, especially like going through seminary and the experiences that I've had in life, is to hold life and people lightly.
Yes.
Right? That God has called me to steward my job well. God has called me to steward my family well, right? Whatever my responsibilities are, but I have to hold it lightly enough that if things change or if things get hard, right, I've got to hold it lightly enough to trust God. Because if I'm holding it too tight,
yes,
then that means I'm not relying on God to provide for me. I'm not relying on God to make a way, right, where I feel like there is no way. But then I've got to sit back and say, okay, God, where are you in this? What's going on in my situation?
Yes.
And so that's what I love about your story, is that you literally took the time to step back, to pause, to think through, okay, God, like, what is going on in this situation, and being creative, right? And just, for me, the Holy Spirit is all up in your story, and there's been moments where, you take us back to, even when you discuss like what was going on in the book and everything that you've had to do, like not having your parents and having to make decisions and provide, to make things happen. And that wasn't just you, that was the Holy Spirit working on the inside of you, right? To give you direction and guidance so that you can remain steadfast in your faith, right? So that you don't give up. Because I think sometimes we get in situations in life and we either become stagnant or we go back. Very few of us go forward, right? Because there's fear in going forward. There's fear in saying, if I go forward and it don't work out, or whatever case may be, I think that's what we have to get over, is getting over the fear of what might not happen or what might happen. And so, listen, I want to encourage you all to just please take heed to everything my sister has said, because it's true. Like I've tried it in my life, where I've learned how to depend on God. I've learned that if you give to God, right, you can't beat God giving. You cannot beat God in terms of like trusting Him, because he if He got you to it, He'll get you through it. Right. Don't ever get to a place where you feel like, I didn't anticipate this, I didn't see this coming. Guess what? God did. Right. Like, don't be. And I think too, it's like we get in situations where it tests our faith. Like we really at those are the moments where we that's a spiritual. If you don't want to know what a spiritual checkup is, that's a spiritual checkup. How do you react in moments where things don't go the way you think they ought to go? Right? How are you responding? What are you saying? Where are you mentally and emotionally? And so I just appreciate you coming on and just giving us your testimony. So we're gonna end it shortly. But I just got one question that I wanna ask you, and I want to go back to you being a creative, and with your business. I mean, you are a walking testimony. People look at you and it's hard not to be like, whoa, who is that, and what does she do? She do, right? So we know we got some listeners out there. You might be parents, you might be artists yourself, you might be dreamers, but you're sitting on a gift. You're sitting on a gift, and you haven't activated it yet. We want you to give them some advice on how to start maybe their own creative business, or because I think sometimes people need mentorship. People need direction. And when I say that, because I'm going through mentorship, right? Like like I met with Dr. Cosby a couple weeks ago, and we're going over like my sermon writing, right? Yeah. And he'll say, hey, I need, you need to work on this or do that, and I'd be like, Rev, give me a method, right? Like I need a method, I need steps, right? And so I think people need steps. People need concrete, practical. Okay, what can I do today to start, right, to get to where I feel like I want to get to? So can you just give us one last little bit of advice and encouragement?
I would say I don't look like what I've been through. You can't go around feeling sorry for yourself. You gotta get up and go. And for me, what I would encourage and recommend for anybody is to listen to what God has for you. There are times where I'm up late at night just going over reading my devotional, something like that, just hearing from God, because he gives me all my creativity. We just have to stop and slow down. Everything is so fast, and people always say, you're always on the go, you're always doing this and that. That's because what you see online. But the reason why my phone kept cutting out in the middle of this is because I have it set where I only get like an hour of Facebook, 30 minutes of TikTok. You'll be surprised how much time we waste.
Yes.
On these TikTok, watching fighting videos, Louisville hood news, all this stuff, when you can be doing something else. Yeah. So I don't waste time doing all those things.
Y'all hear that? Don't waste your time. Manage your time.
Yeah, manage your time, because if you go through your settings on your phone and hit your screen time, it's going to tell you how much time you spending on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, all those things that are not going to benefit you in life. So the advice that I give, this is my blueprint to anybody that is thinking about starting a business, figuring out life, any of those things. And that's why it's titled Start Where You Are. You don't have to be perfect. I had no idea that God was going to put me in this position. I didn't ask for this. But when God has something on your life and you don't ask for it, you got to take that thing and wheel it in and figure out what God's purpose is, because he knew I would take it and use it accordingly, being a blessing to somebody else. But the only way you're going to know what's inside you is to step outside that box and do what God tells you to do and listen to him. Pray every day. I pray over my business. I pray over my family. And I tell myself every day, no weapon, because everybody don't have your best interest. So you have to pray on that thing and ask God, okay, what do you want from my life? And that's to shut everything down, meditate and say, Lord, have it your way. What do you want me to do? But you can't do it running around all the time. On TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, on the phone, gossiping all day, talking about all this stuff. We take on so much. And you got to stand still and let God direct your path and have it your way. So that's the only advice that I could give somebody is to slow down and let God hear your ways, and he'll direct your path and send you those tools that you need to keep going. I mean, it's just that simple.
So I'm gonna ask you one more question, and then I'm gonna have you lead us in prayer as we end this episode.
Yes.
But one thing we definitely want to do is, for those of you who are watching and listening, we want you to follow her and connect with her on social media. If you're looking to have her come and do a party, do something for your company, whatever. So can you let them know like where they can reach you or how they can get a hold of you, or social media, email?
Yes, I'm on Facebook at Tenesha Marshall Creations. I'm on Instagram, T Marshall Creations, and I have a webpage, www.tmarshallcreations.com. And my email address is contact@tmarshallcreations.com. And this is just built over the years. I mean, I didn't have all these things from the beginning. I'm going in year 5, but those are easy ways to connect with me. Send me a message, what have you, and I'm open to be a mentor to people. It's on my to-do list and in my spirit to teach a balloon class.
Okay.
But I had to work some things out within me and take some things off of my plate before I can get into that space. So that's a work in progress too.
Awesome, awesome. Well, y'all heard it. Y'all know where to connect with her, to follow her, to get some more of that wisdom,
Yes,
knowledge,
yes.
and leadership. So how about we end it in prayer?
Yes. Father God, in the name of Jesus, I thank you for this day. I thank you for allowing me to be here to show your will, your ways, your mercy, everything you have stowed upon my life. Lord, I ask you to continue to cover us from the crown of our head to the soles of our feet. Lord, cover us in your blood. Lord, I thank you for allowing to be who I am. Lord, thank you for continue to pour into me to allow me to be a blessing to others. Lord, I thank you for being me, because a lot of times if you point one finger at somebody, you got three fingers pointing back. Lord, I take nothing for granted that you have given me. Lord, I thank you for everything. Lord, thank you for Kevin for allowing me to be here in this space. Lord, I pray that I'm a blessing to someone. And Lord, I hope that someone gets a message out of this. Lord, you are worthy. I love you. Lord, thank you so much for everything that you have given to me. I pray for my family. I pray for my friends. And Lord, just thank you for being who you are in my life. In your precious name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Till next time, make sure you talk different, lead different, most importantly, live different.
Okay.
See y'all.
Thank you.